taking advantage in this break in the monsoon rain to talk about Desolation, one of the licensed properties for the Ubiquity role-playing system, and as anybody who's watched my channel knows, that's a system that I really enjoy. Maybe my go-to system these days. So, Desolation is a post-apocalyptic fantasy. Its tagline is high fantasy brought low. And as you may have seen in a recent clip from Sameoldji, it's a situation where the apocalypse, the end of the world, has happened in recent memory, within the last year and a half. And characters are survivors. And so we're putting together a team of players, the usual suspects, from the community, and I'm quite looking forward to the challenge. The way that the game will be set up is that it's going to run in Hangouts for hopefully 5 sessions. Now I'm sure things will get in there, but we're planning this as a look at the game to try and, you know, enjoy it together and explore it together. I've run it a few times already, and we did a campaign almost 2 years ago now. And this game is being set up so that the players have a chance to explore it, explore Ubiquity, and get a sense of what it's like. So I'm looking forward to getting a chance to run the game for new players. And the way that it's being organized is that, well, you know, the world just ended. And everyone's aware that the world has changed. But no one's really aware of how it has changed, in what ways. And so character creation is a group process that's taking place without me. I've offered some input and some tips, both for system and character creation and for the thought process, but really they're going to guide themselves through it and then come back to me with the type of characters they'd like to play in what kind of challenge.
Desolation caught my attention right away as soon as I started reading it because of the particular things that it does very, very well. First off, it focuses very, very strongly on the genre, this post-apocalyptic genre, not by giving lots of, you know, weird improvised gear or by hitting you over the head with lots of prose talking about the setting. What it does is spend a lot of time focusing on snippets to imagine of what was and directing your attention to the fact that all of that is gone. And when you're going through the character process, this is constantly brought in front of you. It's like, who were you? Who are you now? How did you think? How has this apocalypse affected you as a survivor? What emotional and physical scars are you carrying now that mark you as someone who did not die? One of the few who did not die during the apocalypse. And this is something which can be overlooked in the rush to get into some kind of game. You know, you want to play the warlord in the wastelands, and somehow the fact that that warlord used to have a mother gets lost. So that was one of the things that I liked about Desolation right from the beginning. Other things are that it allows for the survival aspect to come forward and be enjoyable. And it does this in numerous small ways. Desolation offers a chart listing the nutritional value of things that you might eat, things that you might want to eat, things that you might not want to eat, but may be forced to eat, and brings forward this whole aspect of we have this slowly growing party moving through this desolated landscape. We haven't eaten for a couple of days, and soon the hunger is going to start affecting how we think and affecting how we perform. So we really need to eat, And all we can find is this warped and twisted animal, which might be safe to eat, but probably won't provide enough food, enough nutritional value to feed all of us. And when you start thinking that way, and you think about all the different social pressures that will bring up, and all the meat for roleplay, you start to get excited about running this game. It's not that you can't do this with other games, or you can't do this with other post-apocalyptic games. It's just that Desolation does this so well. It focuses attention almost effortlessly, and not by hitting you over the head with tons and tons and tons of setting, but leaving it open, offering hints and suggestions. This was, now it's gone. This was, now it's gone. This is here. No one knows where it came from. These kinds of things, very evocative, and help build different game worlds from group to group, and help build different game worlds from campaign to campaign. You don't return to the world of Skandera and play through it exactly the same way that you did the last time. You destroy it in totally new and exciting ways each time you return to it. And one of the best examples I can give of this is that there is no map for the post-apocalyptic world. They give you a continental map, and they give you a political map explaining the world before. But the world after is entirely left in your hands. It could be exactly the same, or the titanic forces which destroyed virtually every living thing on the planet could have rewritten the map in any number of ways. Plus, when you throw high magic into this, your imagination is the only limit. I'm quite lucky to have the opportunity to run this online for 4 people, which will be kind of a nice challenge. We'll have natural 20 games. We'll have Carl. We'll have Sameoldji. We'll have Gothnog. And we'll have Dungeonmaster 5.0. So I've gamed with Carl and with Sameoldji before, but the other 2, this will be a new experience. And this will be the first time any of them have played in one of my games. And this will be the first time that 3 of them have tried Ubiquity. Dungeonmaster 5.0 has had a chance to play it at a con, I believe. And so this will be fun to once again introduce a game system that I really enjoy to people who I think will like it in one of its very evocative settings, which, well, literally the sky's the limit for the kind of story and adventure that we'll be able to have. And the way I've approached it is to, in the beginning, be quite hands-off. One of the things that I've always found difficult as a player when I join in a new group playing a game I've never played before, which has whatever kind of setting or genre, that the information dump that new group wants to hit me with can often be overwhelming, sometimes seem boring or confused, and I don't often have the time to dig into the pieces of information that I might really like about that setting, because everyone is so busy telling me what they think about it or what they think I'll like about it. And what are the odds that these strangers will be able to predict that? So I'm trying to step back. Now, there are 4 players. 2 of them have the core book, and I've supplied them all with a very well-made cheat sheet from a giant in the Ubiquity community. And by doing that and offering some suggestions and asking some questions, I'm hoping that they will have the time and the interest and the energy to explore among themselves, right? To share among themselves ideas, and then move through the core book themselves and pull out the things that immediately leap out to them as interesting. Because I think for any play test or system demonstration, it's those kinds of things which you should focus on. So that's what we're doing. Now, they've had their first character creation session, and now characters are being refined because we've budgeted for 5 short sessions, and it may expand to more than that, or it may be opposed by the forces of the universe and become less than that. But Now, they are focusing on taking these concepts and figuring out ways that these people would have found to be together. I'm not really talking about building a targeted team with specific niches for each person, you know, like the hunter, the fisherman, the doctor, and the lawyer. No, instead, what I'm asking them to do is figure out how their characters come together as people. I'm not asking that they like each other. I'm asking that they know how their characters come together, rub each other the right way and the wrong way, so that we have a role-playing goal right from the very first session. Right? We're going to portray these characters getting along or not getting along in these ways, and they've chosen to be together and work together for survival in the past. We're not going to role-play through that. We're going to role-play through now that this group has decided to journey together. What happens to them? What did they choose to do? Where do they choose to go? And why? And what happens along the way? One of the perks of designing things to work this way is that it also serves as a kind of litmus test for the players to see how compatible they're going to be together. Now, we already have a fairly good idea that they can all get along and like similar things, but this way they can contribute concepts all together, pick the ones they like, and then pitch them to me, and I'll figure out how to make this work in context of the existing setting and what changes I want to make to the existing setting to accommodate that, and which ones I'm going to ask them to reconsider. So it's compromise all the way around. Now, so far, I haven't had to ask for anything like that. The party of concepts that they've put together so far will be extremely interesting. And it focuses exactly on the sorts of things I love about Desolation. The world has ended, and I'm left here with all of these choices. And I don't know what to do. And so hopefully during this 5-session arc, these characters will at least be left with an idea of what's out there for them, so that there can be character growth, and there can be player goals such as building community, finding a way to survive, or ending a threat, something like this. And maybe that 5-session experience will fill us all with the desire to build a truly long-term campaign, which I know I would be completely happy doing.
I'm hoping everyone has the time to read through the setting material of the rulebook, and I'm hoping that they have the enjoyment of the whole idea to participate in that. But if they're unable or unwilling, that's not going to matter so much, because the characters really won't know what's out there in the world waiting for them. Literally every aspect of life has changed, and so characters will be surprised and upset by virtually everything they find. Now players can encourage more bleed in this by getting to know what was, so that they know what their characters have lost.
Because most of the players are going to be learning Ubiquity, the first session is really going to be focused on system. So when things happen which require us to engage the mechanics, I am going to be bringing those mechanics forward and explaining them, not in a lot of great detail, but just giving them mental hooks so that the next time a similar situation comes along, you know, the streamlined and simple mechanics of Ubiquity will be linked to something in their memories. And do I do this? Yes. As we move through, this will be less and less necessary. Ubiquity has a real talent for slipping into the background and becoming unobtrusive. It's so easy to use. And one of the real strengths of the system is that it provides a lot of system support for not using it, but still knowing that it's not hand-waving, that your character is performing according to the character, not to the whim of the storyteller or the edict of the type of story that you're in. That you can still wave a roll, but still use the probable results of that roll to accomplish something in the game. And that's important to me and some of the other players as well. There have been no discussions yet about whether any part of this game is going to appear as an actual play, although in the back of my mind, I would like to see that. There isn't a lot out there about Ubiquity, and it's a strong enough game system going through a little bit of a resurgence right now, as there will be basically 3 more properties appearing in the near future. We'll have Revelations of Mars coming later this year. We're going to have Menace from Beyond early, probably next year. And Space 1889 is going to be reappearing under this system sometime this year or early next. So with those 3 big events for Ubiquity, now is really the time that I'd like to see more of it out there. Now, I know a lot of people downloaded the rules for Hollow Earth Expedition, the flagship of the Ubiquity line, when it had its birthday here a few months ago. And so it's time to actually read through that, take a look at the Ubiquity system, and, play along at home, so to speak. I look forward to interacting with more people about Ubiquity in the coming months. And maybe this is one of the ways that we can spark some of that conversation. And while I don't think that Ubiquity is for everybody all the time, every game, it's certainly one of those games that it's fun. And if you're out there thinking, I'd like to try more games, consider this one.